good little private secretary and go tell your employer I'd like to see her.
She's not here.
Well, suppose I find out for myself. Where is she, upstairs?
You can't go up there. I won't let you.
Hey, why are you so afraid to let me see Raven? Is there something wrong with her?
No, she's off enjoying herself somewhere.
Yeah, well, obviously you're not. You look scared to death.
What's going on?
Spencer, this policeman wants to search the house.
What for, Detective? Stolen property?
Spencer, I came here to find Mrs. Whitney. I happen to know she's here.
You happen to be wrong.
Well, maybe she stepped out, but isn't that her luggage?
Is this police business, Detective?
Look, Spencer, I know that Raven is in this house, and if she is, you two have been lying to me.
But it isn't police business, is it? As a matter of fact, you're not a policeman at the moment.
What?
Don't you know, Nora? Mr. Tyler's been placed under suspension. He's in the morning news.
Oh, then you have no right to be here at all, do you?
She's right, Mr. Tyler. If you search this house without a warrant, you'll never wear that badge again.
You're right, Spencer. I'm not here in an official capacity.
I know that.
If I were, I would have brought a search warrant with me. I'm here as a private citizen, a friend of Mrs. Whitney's, and I'm very concerned about her safety.
She's perfectly safe.
How do you know?
You'll just have to take our word for it.
Look, I told you, she's not here. Mrs. Saxon was mistaken.
Mrs. Saxon?
Yes, Mrs. Saxon called me on the telephone and said she had spoken to Raven and that Raven was here in the house. You don't look so sure of yourself now, Spencer. I'll tell you what. I'll call Mrs. Saxon at the Monticello Arms, and we'll see if she can verify what I just told you.
That won't be necessary.
You beginning to see the light?
Yes, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Spencer!
Shut up, Nora. I'm going to tell you the truth only because you say you're a friend of Mrs. Whitney's.
I am.
And if you really mean that, you'll keep quiet about what I'm going to tell you. Please. Mrs. Whitney isn't on a cruise.
I think that's obvious, isn't it?
We thought it would be best to invent that explanation. And when I say we, I mean all of us, including Mrs. Whitney.
Why?
Because Mrs. Whitney is ill.
Ill? What's wrong with her?
A couple of weeks ago, she had a kind of emotional collapse. Some people would call it a nervous breakdown. I'm sorry we had to break our promise, Nora, but I don't see that we have any choice.
Go on, Spencer.
We first knew what was happening when she didn't come home one night. I finally managed to locate her. She was wandering around the streets all by herself. She was incoherent for the most part. All I could understand was that she was looking for her husband, her dead husband.
And what did you do about it?
I brought her home. She asked me to. She was totally exhausted.
Did you call a doctor?
Not at first.
Why?
Well, she asked us not to. She said she was just tired. She needed some rest.
I'm sure you can understand what happened. I mean, she had a terrible experience in Switzerland, and when she brought her husband's body home, she just... Well, you should know better than most what can happen.
Yes, I do know.
It was a delayed reaction, wasn't it, Spencer?
But Raven is still in the house. She's probably upstairs in the bedroom, right?
Yes, but no one can see her, Detective, not even you.
Well, Mrs. Saxon spoke to her last night.
Well, I know that, but she picked up the phone when Mrs. Saxon was phoning from Washington. She said untrue things to her. She made accusations.
Really not in her right mind.
And if you don't believe us, you can ask Mrs. Saxon. When she called, Mrs. Whitney accused her of running out on her. Of course, Mrs. Saxon did no such thing.
And that's why you diverted Mrs. Saxon to the Monticello Arms.
Yes. Mrs. Whitney didn't want to see her. We had to make up some excuse. We told her that the house was being painted.
Look, I'm not convinced that Raven does not want to see me.
You can't go there. It's against doctor's orders.
So you did call a doctor?
Oh, well, yes. We had to, of course.
What was his name?
He wasn't here very often.
Well, he must have had a name.
Yes. Oh, I remember now. Klingerman. Dr. Johann Klingerman.
Klingerman? Where's his office?
He's not a local. He was from out of town. Mrs. Whitney asked that he be called.
Really? What's his number? I'd like to call him, too.
I don't have it. Mrs. Whitney threw it away. Apparently, she became upset with him and said she didn't want to see him anymore.
I see. Well, I guess there's nothing for me to do but to leave, right?
I hope you'll also keep quiet. Mrs. Whitney wouldn't like her problem known.
I'm sure, Spencer. Miss Fulton?
Johann Klingerman?
Well, it seems highly unlikely, Jody, that the Endicott servant was the same man you saw in Springfield.
But there must have been some slight resemblance, however.
No, I guess I've just been seeing that man's face so much in my mind, I was ready to superimpose it on the first person that looked like him.
Grace Endicott was quite sure?
Yes, she was. She even had this notebook at the gallery. She checked it, and she said that there was some kind of exhibit there at the time.
Yeah, and this man helps her at the gallery.
Did she tell you what his name was?
Joseph, that's what she said.
Anyway, Joseph was in Monticello the whole time we were in Springfield, so that takes care of that.
Yep. Well, what about the portrait?
Oh, well, I left it with her, and she said it would take 2 to 3 days before her father could show it to that expert. Anyway, I hate to leave this charming company, but I've got to get down to the studio.
Why now?
Because Kelly wants me to look at the set for tomorrow's show, see if I want to make any changes. Bye-bye.
I'll get it.
Telephone.
Hello? Yes, hello, Mr. Endicott.
How are you, Mrs. Cavanaugh?
I'm fine, thank you.
Is your charming sister at home?
Yes, she is.
Good. I have some wonderful news for her.
All right, hold on, I'll put her on. Jody?
Thanks. Hello, Mr. Endicott.
Hello, my dear. The most extraordinary thing happened after you left the gallery this morning.
Oh, yeah? What was that?
Well, I came by to say hello to Grace when someone wandered in. He didn't seem terribly interested in what we had on the walls, but when he saw what was on Grace's desk, he was absolutely fixated.
You mean my portrait?
Mm-hmm. He asked about it. I told him, of course, that it wasn't gallery property, but just the same, he made an offer for it on the spot.
He did.
And listen to this. He offered to write a check for $10,000.
Whoa, that's a lot of money.
Well, let me be honest with you, miss. Or may I call you Jody?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, Jody, to be perfectly frank with you, it's a charming picture, but as to its value, well, we're sure it's not by a major artist. That, at the most, it might bring, between 500 and 1,000 at auction.
But I didn't have any plans to sell it.
Neither did we. Oh, but please, don't misunderstand. The gallery will take no commission, so the full amount will come to you. I can have the check there this evening. I hope you're as pleased as we are.
Wait a second, Mr. Endicott. I don't know if I want to sell the portrait. Listen, let me think it over and talk about it with my family, okay?
Of course, Jody. But do that now. The buyer's from out of town, and he's leaving this evening.
Okay, all right, I'll do that now, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I know Smiley. Yeah, well, Sid says that the paper just called him Smiley Wilson. No, I haven't got any dates either. Yeah, well, listen, I figured the PD in Flint couldn't have that much trouble remembering. I mean, how many burglars are there running around called Smiley, you know? Yeah, well, check it out. Get back to me, okay? I'd appreciate it. Yeah, all right.
Hi, Calvin.
Hello.
Have you got a minute? I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yeah, sure.
Good. I'd like to let you know how I feel about things.
Didi, I already know how you feel.
Calvin, look, I asked you to let me to make a statement, okay? Now, would you just let me do that, please?
Okay.
Hey, I've always known that you had mixed emotions about the situation. It's only natural. You don't dislike Star. You've been married to her for years.
Hey, now just wait a minute,
No,
okay?
no. And the reason you wrote that letter asking her for a divorce was as a test. First, to see if you could write the letter, and then to see if you could mail it. You gave yourself a test, and you failed. Or I guess I should say you passed.
Didi, that letter was not meant to be any kind of a test. I honestly always intended to mail it.
Calvin, if you wanted to, you would have, but you didn't. At the last minute, you came to me and you asked for that letter back. And I'll bet you tore it up, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Well, there you are. You needed something to force you to make a choice, and you have.
Didi, you don't know how
Calvin.
wrong you are about all of this.
I've got news for you. You love your wife.
Oh, Didi.
No, listen to me. Deep down, you still want Star. Okay, look, you lost something in your marriage that you thought you could find with somebody else. With me. But you still want her. Okay? Look, I'm sorry. This is the wrong place for this, and I really shouldn't, but
All right.
I just wanted to get it over with.
Yes, but now
all right?
you are going to have to let me say something,
No,
too.
no. You said it all already. You said it all when you took that letter back from me at Sid's place.
Didi, listen.
Calvin, listen. Please, help me, okay? I want to make a clean break. All right? It's best for both of us and for Star. Okay, will you do that for me, please? Will you do that for me, please? No. Excuse me.
Hi, Didi.
Hello, Damian?
She doesn't look too happy.
No.
Neither do you. Did you tell her about Star? Look, Calvin, this is not what I came to talk to you about, but I'll say this first. Look, you've got to tell Didi the truth. You owe it to her, man. You have to tell Didi that Star is going to have a baby.
Almost so that you could look at the new set before tomorrow. How do you like it, huh?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's great.
I just want you to relax for a minute, kind of get a feel of the place. Be sure that you're comfortable.
Oh, I am. I'm very comfortable, and the kids are going to love it. That's the most important thing, right?
Not necessarily. Listen, I got good news for you. Mrs. Saxon's back.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean, uh-oh?
Well, she's never seen me on TV before. I mean, maybe she won't approve.
Oh, come on. She's going to love you. Take my word for it, huh? In fact, I told her that you would be in contact with her tomorrow morning.
You mean all by myself?
Yep, I won't be here tomorrow.
Well, where are you going to be?
I'm starting my vacation. And listen, don't forget to feed the fish twice a day, okay?
Kelly, you picked a rotten time to go on vacation.
What do you mean? I picked a perfect time.
Well, how can you say that? How can you say that when you're going to leave me here all by myself to face Geraldine Saxon? I mean, I know she is very nice and everything, but she's just so Geraldine Saxon.
Come on, she's not going to bite you. Come on, she's as nice in business as she is at everything else.
Well, how come this is such a good time for you to get away?
Well, because a friend of mine is taking a vacation at the same time.
Oh, can I guess? Initials VB?
Yeah. Yeah, Valerie's going to be gone for a couple of weeks. She's going to visit her old haunts in Europe.
Well, that's great. You two should have a wonderful time.
Yeah.
How come you don't look happy?
Well, because she's going east and I'm going south, that's why.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, look, I want you to really, really get into this. I want you to get a feel of it, okay? So that you'll be totally comfortable tomorrow morning. All right?
Yeah, I'd like that. Listen, everything is going to work out, you know?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll be back in a week, okay? Mm-hmm. And I don't want you to worry about a thing because the Penny Playroom has $1 million hostess.
Thanks. Have a good trip.
Okay. Oh, may I make the first contribution? Good luck.
Oh, boy. Gretel lived with their stepmother and their father, a poor woodcutter, in a tiny, tumble-down cottage on the edge of a forest. They had always been poor, but when our story starts, the woodcutter had no work for weeks, and there was not a scrap of food in the house. One night...
My favorite story. Oh, no, don't stop. I want to see if it still ends the way I remember it.
It does. The big bad witch gets put in the oven and bakes to death.
My favorite, baked crone.
What are you doing here?
Well, I came to see what a real television studio looks like. I'm afraid I had to lie a bit. I told the guard that you were expecting me.
Well, I wasn't.
Sure you were. From the minute you met me, you must have known that I was, the persistent type.
Yeah, but I didn't know you were a bloodhound. How did you know I was here? Wait a second. Did you call my apartment?
You never told me where you lived.
Good. I did something right.
But I knew you worked at WMON, so I thought I'd stop by and ask about your schedule, and there you were.
Chad, who told you I worked here?
Hey, you remember my name.
Yes, but I don't remember telling you I had a job at WMON.
Oh, someone at the party told me. I don't remember who. I asked so many people about you, I can't think of them all.
You could have asked my sister or my brother-in-law.
I didn't know who they were, and I didn't think you were going to introduce me.
You're right. You were much too impertinent.
Well, I looked for them, but I couldn't find anybody named Travis.
Oh, you're kidding. Don't you know that women change their names when they get married? It's Kavanaugh.
Thank you. Now all I have to do is look up Dr. Kavanaugh, and I'll have your address.
Why didn't you just play dumb? That wouldn't take too much effort from you, Nora.
I don't think I did anything wrong. I just went along with what you told him.
You did a hell of a lot more than that. You gave him the name of a doctor, something he could verify.
Don't worry, he won't.
Do you think he believed that story about Mrs. Whitney? Didn't you see his face? He was very skeptical. He just couldn't disprove what we were saying at the moment. But now,
You won't be able to find any Dr. Johann Klingerman.
I realize that, Nora. I know you made it up.
That's not what I meant. There is a doctor by that name.
What?
He was my doctor when I was ill. It was the first name that popped into my head.
Oh, fine. Wonderful. Then he really does exist, which means Tyler can go check our story with him.
No, he retired over a year ago. He lives in Austria, someplace. He may even be dead by now. Look, I better see if she's all right.
Well, that wasn't very long, honey.
Oh, I don't think I'm going to have a job for much longer.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because Geraldine is coming back and she's going to be supervising the show for the next couple of weeks. Kelly is going on vacation.
Well, so what? Geraldine is delightful to work with.
Oh, I know. I just don't know if she'll make the allowances that Kelly did for my inexperience. Oh, well. If I lose my job, I know where I can get $10,000.
What do you mean? You're talking about selling the painting?
Have you made up your mind about that?
Yeah, I can't sell it. I can't. I'd feel awful. But I guess I better call Mr. Endicott.
Yes, you should. He said he needed an answer this afternoon.
I'll do that right now.
Hey, wait a minute. You didn't tell us about the new set.
Oh, the set. It's really wonderful. You'll have to see it tomorrow on the air. Hello. Yes, is Mr. Endicott there? Jody Travis. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Endicott.
Hello, Jody. Well, have you made up your mind about the portrait? Oh. I see.
I really can't sell it because, I mean, it's the only thing I've ever gotten from my mother, and I'm just sort of attached to it.
I don't blame you one bit, Jody. It's a charming picture, and it does resemble you, which makes it even lovelier.
I'm sorry, I really am, but I appreciate all you've done for me.
Oh, it's quite all right, Jody. And I still intend to make good on my promise to find out more about the artist and his model. Goodbye, my dear.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Joseph. Yes, Mr. Endicott. I want you to do me a favor, Joseph. I want you to find me a thief. Did I hear you right? You heard me. And not just any thief. A true professional who knows how to use professional skills. Find me such a man, Joseph. You can do it if anyone can.
Yes, Mr. Endicott.
Last bag. No sign of a taxi yet?
No, and I wish we would have left last night. I couldn't sleep at all.
We could have left if that detective friend of yours hadn't shown up.
Do you think he suspected anything?
That you're about to jump bail? No, I don't think so, but we couldn't take any chances. He might have been outside watching.